to this channel. This is Springs of Living Water, and my name is Bera Ketmamo. I'm so glad that you're here. If you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're new here, welcome. I'll be very quick on this video, so please make sure that you stick around throughout the video, and I hope that you learn something new. So I have several questions that people have asked me regarding what actual human trafficking is, so I'm going to go over that real quick with you guys, okay? So what actually is human trafficking? Where can this happen? Who are the victims? And what are some statistics that we can actually look at to see how this global and worldwide issue should be combated? And what are some of the global issues that you should be aware of? So these will be a very quick, I have quick answers to this video, to these questions, and I want you to kind of hear me out as well. So what actually is human trafficking? Human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, deception to obtain any kind of forced labor and or commercial sex act. So every year, it's told that millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide, including here in the United States. So it's devastating. And usually when people define human trafficking, they look at three elements that actually goes with what human trafficking is. The first element they look at is the acts, or in another word, what is actually done. The second is the means, or how is it done? And the third is the purpose, why is it done? So these three help us to define what human trafficking is. The acts, or what is done, basically is recruitment and or transportation or transfer, or transfer of persons. And the means is how is it done? By threat, force, abduction, fraud, and deception. And the purpose, why is it done? For the purpose of exploitation, which includes exploiting the prostitution of others. Sexual exploitation or even forced labor is some of the reasons why human trafficking is actually done. So these three elements actually help us to define what human trafficking is. So what do the traffickers do? As I explained earlier, they usually use force, fraud, deception to actually take advantage of children, women, and men to do forced labor or any kind of sexual exploitation. So what are some of the statistics? I'm going to actually go back to 2012. It's way back, so this just shows you how huge and problematic this actually is. So according to the International Labor Organization, it is said that forced labor, so they actually define human trafficking as modern-day slavery, okay? So they say modern-day slavery actually has 150 billion in profits every year. That's 150 billion profits every year. And we don't even know that modern-day slavery exists. And it's been told in 2012, there's 21 million victims who are trapped in modern-day slavery. And 14.2 million from that are actually exploited in hard labor. So these are alarming numbers, but again, this is in 2012. So in 2020, it's increased, or they would say it has doubled and tripled even. So what can be done about it? So a lot of people who have been working against human trafficking have done three things. They call it the 3 Ps. First is prevention, second is protection, and the last is prosecution. So prevention is basically looking at victims or those people who are being trafficked. So what they do is educate the community, help the victims so they don't have this victim mentality anymore, but then do a lot of education, right? The second protection is they protect these victims who are already been enslaved or who are experiencing slavery right now. The third is prosecution. So they actually work against the traffickers so in order to bring them into justice. So these are three things that they actually do. I'm just going to go over what we can do, and I'm going to wrap up with what SLW has been doing and will continue hopefully to do. So what can you do? First of all, I always say educate yourselves. we don't know everything, right? So if we educate ourselves, read more about what modern day slavery, aka human trafficking is, we become more alarmed, but then also help our children and their children will not be enslaved. This has happened for a very, very long time, but there have been people who have been fighting against this. And then, of course, organizations. Second is be aware of the problem. We need to be aware of this problem. It is a problem, and we cannot ignore it. Third is work or volunteer in your local organization, because every community I have researched have some kind of human trafficking organization that they actually work. Try to go and learn from them, volunteer, do what you can, and it could be anything, small, big, it could be anything. So a little bit about what we're doing. So Springs of Living Water was, again, it came to me by the vision that God has given me. And I have no idea trafficking happens in Ethiopia, but we just look at orphans, we look at street kids, and we do prevention. So we have not done the two things I've told you about earlier. We work on prevention, meaning we educate students, we educate our communities, we educate everyone that we encounter so they know what human trafficking is. So we've been on that stage right now. And if you want to learn more about it, you can obviously go to the link below and learn more about what SLW is doing. So I just, again, encourage you to go educate yourself more. And I just literally just briefed you on what human trafficking is. There's literally so many information on the internet, and there's so many information where you can, if you do your research, you'll find more about it. You will learn a lot more about what it is. And I'm really thankful for listening to this. If you've stayed the whole time, I really appreciate your time. And I want you to share and like and subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of this in the near future. And hopefully we will continue to learn together and have some kind of thing, or perform some kind of thing that we can combat this problem together. So thanks for listening, and see you next time. Bye.